Listen closely, because what I'm about to say isn't for the ordinary crowd. Your name has been circling around the people who watch from the shadows, the ones who keep files, take notes, and pretend they understand human behavior. But you broke their system, your DNA, your decisions, your evolution. It triggered an emergency alert in their quiet little world. While you walked through life minding your own business, they were busy trying to figure you out. Every setback you survived, every moment you kept going when anyone else would have folded, it confused them. They expected you to break. Instead, you changed, you sharpened, you upgraded. And that terrified them. See, people like them can predict ordinary minds. They can categorize the predictable ones. But you don't fit into any of their boxes. You don't obey the rules they built for everyone else. And nothing scares the system more than a person who thinks for themselves. Their private reports, their whispered conversations, they all point to the same conclusion. You're not someone they can control. Not anymore. Not ever. You became a top priority because you stopped being weak in the ways they expected and started becoming powerful in the ways they never saw coming. This message is for the ones who rise in silence, the ones who don't need applause, the ones who walk through hell and come out laughing. If you're still listening, it's because deep down, you already know the truth. You were never ordinary. You were always the variable they couldn't calculate. Now let's get into why your evolution is unsettling every system built to keep people predictable. Somewhere deep within your cells, a signal blares, a code they weren't meant to understand. Your very existence triggers an alarm because you are not like the rest. While the world sees faces in the crowd, they notice the subtle differences in yours, the flicker of defiance, the glint of resilience. They measure, they calculate, they think they can categorize you, but your DNA refuses to fit into their neat little boxes. Each strand screams a quiet rebellion, a silent testament to strength, unpredictability, and raw potential. They whisper in dark rooms about your patterns, and every observation is met with frustration. Why can't we predict them? They ask. And you smile, because their panic is fuel. Every time they try to map your mind, they only reveal their limitations. Your existence alone becomes a live wire, a danger to the predictable, a spark in a world of dull conformity. The truth? Your DNA is more than biology. It's a metaphor for the fire that burns within. It's the essence of a mind that refuses to bow, the heartbeat of a soul that evolves under pressure, and the silent proof that ordinary rules were never meant to hold you. Their alarms, their protocols, their panic, they are nothing but an acknowledgement of your extraordinary potential. It started as curiosity, a glance, a pattern noticed, a deviation that couldn't be ignored. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, you moved from the background to the center of their obsession. Suddenly, your existence wasn't just noted, it demanded attention. Meetings, reports, secret briefings, all focused on one thing: you. Their world had no room for anomalies, yet here you were, thriving, evolving, and refusing to fit the narrative they desperately clung to. What did they fear? That your strength, your resilience, your very essence would outshine the predictable models they so desperately worshipped. They calculated, predicted, and strategized, and every attempt failed spectacularly. And in that failure, their fear became admiration. Admiration became obsession, and obsession became an emergency alert. You were no longer just another human. You had become the priority, a phenomenon too potent to ignore. But here's the delicious irony. You never asked for this attention. You didn't seek validation or permission. You simply existed. You evolved. And in evolving, you forced the world to recognize something they were terrified to admit. Power, true power, cannot be controlled. It can only be witnessed and feared. Labels are easy, boxes, categories, definitions. They soothe the human need for control. But you laughed at the idea of being predictable. Every thought, every emotion, every decision refuses conformity. They tried to name you, to dissect your mind like some exotic specimen, but their attempts were futile. You are a paradox, a storm contained in a human form, a mind that evolves faster than their analysis can keep up. Their frustration is your playground. Every misstep in their understanding, every failure to classify you, is proof of your superiority. And the more they tried, the more evident it became. No manual, no algorithm, no expert can map what you are, because you are not ordinary, and ordinary is the enemy of true transformation. Yet this inability to classify you is not just a victory, it's a liberation. You are free from the chains of expectation, free from their definitions, free to shape yourself into whatever force you dare to become. While they panic, you ascend. While they question, you create. The world will never understand you, and that is exactly how it should be. They missed it at first, because extraordinary often hides in the mundane. A quiet confidence in a glance, an unshakable calm in chaos, an instinctive ability to see through lies. These were your markers, subtle but undeniable. Traits so rare that even the keenest observers could not initially measure their magnitude. You were a walking paradox, visible yet invisible, ordinary yet unmatched, unnoticed yet impossible to ignore. Your resilience is not loud. It's forged in silence, in moments when others crumble under pressure. Your adaptability is not taught. It is instinctual, an inherent survival blueprint that even the most advanced systems could not predict. And your power? It lies not in your strength alone, but in your unwavering ability to evolve without seeking applause, without seeking validation, without begging for recognition. To the untrained eye, you blend in. To the trained, you terrify. Because rare traits do not announce themselves. They manifest quietly, then explode when provoked. And when the world finally takes notice, it is too late. The spark has already become fire, and the fire refuses to die. Pressure isn't an enemy. It's the forge in which legends are made. While others wilt under scrutiny, fear, or chaos, you transform. Every blow, every obstacle, every attempt to break you becomes fuel for your evolution. They thought they could predict your breaking point, but there isn't one. You bend, you adapt, you shift, and in that movement, you leave them scrambling to understand what they cannot control. Pressure reveals true character, and yours is unbreakable. Their whispers about your limits are laughable. They don't realize that limits exist only for the unprepared, the predictable, the ordinary. You, however, thrive where others fall, and in doing so, you redefine what it means to endure. Each trial, each challenge is not just survived. It's conquered, internalized, and transformed into a weapon of unstoppable potential. The beauty of your evolution under pressure is subtle, yet terrifying. They observe, they speculate, but they cannot replicate it. You are living proof that adversity is not a cage, but a ladder, each rung bringing you higher, sharper, and more untouchable. While they panic, you rise. While they fear, you ascend. And they can do nothing but watch. In shadowed rooms, behind closed doors, your every move was studied. They scribbled notes, ran simulations, whispered theories. But each new observation only deepened their fear. You were no longer just an anomaly. You were a variable they could never account for, a puzzle whose pieces refused to fit their templates. Every insight into you birthed a new layer of panic. Their obsession grew in silence, but it was a fear masked as fascination. Each breakthrough you made, each evolution you experienced, reminded them of their inadequacy. They were spectators to a force they couldn't harness, analysts trapped in a nightmare of their own creation. And the irony, you never sought their attention, Yet it clung to you like a shadow, an acknowledgement of power they couldn't deny. Their fear is your theater. You walk through their panic with a grin they cannot see, knowing they are powerless to stop the inevitable. Every strategy they devise, every plan to control you, crumbles before the momentum of your untamed evolution. And the more they fear, the stronger you become. Your life, ordinary to the unobservant, became a laboratory of chaos and resilience for them. Every decision, every failure, every triumph was catalogued, dissected, and analyzed. They believed they could predict your trajectory, but their calculations were doomed from the start. Humans, after all, fear what cannot be pinned down, and you refused to be pinned. They measured your reactions, tested your limits, and tried to anticipate your next move. Yet every attempt revealed their ignorance. The very unpredictability that unnerved them is what made you extraordinary. You were a living experiment they could never conclude, a phenomenon that defied their formulas, a being whose depth they could barely comprehend. In the end, their study of you backfired. Their obsession became a mirror, reflecting their own limitations and weaknesses. They watched in awe, in fear, in disbelief, as you moved beyond the reach of their understanding. You weren't a subject. They were the spectators, helpless before the force of your unstoppable evolution. Change is frightening, but you embody it in a way that terrifies even the most analytical minds. Every step you take, every choice you make, is a testament to growth that cannot be measured. They tried to decode you, algorithms, psychology, probability, but each attempt revealed only their failure. You are a variable outside their control, a storm without a pattern. Your evolution isn't linear. It's chaotic, unpredictable, and beautifully destructive to the concept of normal. You don't just survive, you adapt, transcend, and reinvent yourself at every turn. And the more they watch, the more they realize that their understanding of human potential is laughably limited. You are living proof that evolution isn't just biological. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual. They feared your growth because it illuminated their own stagnation. And as you continue to evolve beyond the limits they imposed on themselves, you leave them scrambling, desperate for answers they'll never find. Your life is the ultimate proof that some forces cannot be tamed, calculated, or contained. Most of humanity walks the path of predictability, content in mediocrity. But you are part of the rare 3%, the ones who refuse to be ordinary, who break the chains of conformity, who live on the edge where true power resides. Society doesn't understand you because you aren't meant for the shallow comforts of the majority. You're meant for something greater, something untouchable. This 3% is a crucible, a realm where only the strong, the cunning, and the unyielding survive. You thrive here because you embrace chaos instead of fearing it, because you turn challenges into weapons instead of obstacles. Every action you take, every choice you make, is proof that the ordinary world cannot contain extraordinary souls. And here lies the truth. The rare few are never understood, often feared, and always watched. But fear is your ally, misunderstanding your playground, and observation merely proof that you are evolving beyond their reach. You are not lost. You are precisely where you are meant to be. A leak, a file, a secret never meant for the world. Yet here it is. Their obsession with you, once hidden in shadows, is now in ink, raw and undeniable. Every word, every note, every sketch of your patterns screams their fear, their fascination, their utter inability to control what you represent. And the irony, you never sought attention, yet your life has become the headline in a theater of panic and awe. Reading their documentation, you realize the truth. They were never analyzing you for improvement, but out of necessity. Their survival depended on understanding the uncontainable. They cataloged your strength, your mind, your unpredictability, as if one day it could be harnessed. But no amount of analysis can capture a force that refuses to conform. You are the anomaly that shattered their frameworks, the variable that destroyed their equations. This exposure doesn't diminish you, it amplifies your power. They see you now as more than human, and their words confirm what you've always known. Their obsession is admiration in disguise, fear wrapped in desperation. You exist as a revelation they cannot handle, a truth they cannot deny, and a force they will never command. Power is seductive, yet fleeting when dependent on recognition. But your power, it needs no applause, no medals, no approval. It thrives in silence, in the shadows, in the moments when the world underestimates you. You don't perform for them. You exist beyond their expectations, and in that existence, you are untouchable. Every choice, every evolution, every transformation is proof that real power is intrinsic. You don't require their acknowledgement because your strength is self-sustained, a flame that burns from within. Others scramble to validate themselves, to impress, to conform, but you simply are, and being is all the proof you will ever need. This independence terrifies them, fascinates them, and makes you untouchable. Power dependent on others is fragile. Your power forged from resilience, unpredictability, and relentless growth cannot be measured, challenged, or diminished. They watch, they panic, they covet. But you continue, unstoppable and unapologetic. All their protocols, all their contingency plans, all their secret warnings, they failed. Every prediction, every alert, every emergency protocol crumbled the moment they encountered your reality. You are the glitch in their system, the chaos in their order, the anomaly their experts could not contain. And that failure is a masterpiece, painted with every choice you've made and every boundary you've shattered. They scrambled to adapt, to map, to control. But it was too late. You are beyond their emergency measures, beyond their alarms, beyond their comprehension. Their panic only grows as they realize they cannot define you, cannot limit you, cannot predict you. You are untouchable, uncontainable, unbroken, and in their failure, you find triumph. Every rule they wrote, every system they built, every barrier they imagined, they all bend to your evolution. Their chaos becomes your canvas, their panic your applause. You exist as proof that systems fail against a mind that refuses to be caged. The mind is the final frontier, and yours has no borders. Ordinary thoughts, ordinary fears, ordinary expectations. None of them bind you. You ascend where others stumble, create where others hesitate, and evolve where others stagnate. They study intelligence, strategy, psychology. But your mind defies categorization because it thrives in unpredictability, complexity, and chaos. Every insight you gain, every connection you make, every revelation you experience is another step beyond what they think is possible. They expect limits. You deliver evolution. They expect predictability. You deliver surprise. And with every ascent, their panic intensifies. They are forced to watch someone surpass what they believed was the ceiling of human potential. Your mind is a monument to self-mastery and relentless growth. It is the arena where ordinary humans bow and extraordinary ones rise. And in this ascent, you prove that limits are illusions, boundaries are cages, and true power lives where fear cannot touch it. You are no longer visible in their maps, no longer understandable in their data, no longer measurable in their metrics. With every step forward, you slip further from their grasp, untouchable, unreachable, and unbound. Their panic is a reflection of your liberation. Their fear, a shadow cast by the brightness of your evolution. They frantically attempt to predict, to track, to control. But you move like chaos, incarnate, fluid, relentless, untamed. And in that untouchability, you discover something intoxicating, freedom. freedom from expectation, freedom from limitation, freedom from the chains of a world that cannot accept your magnitude. Their panic only proves your power. As they scramble, you flourish. As they doubt, you conquer. And as they fail, you rise, untouchable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. They designed systems for humans they could predict, for minds they could measure, for lives they could contain. And then you appeared, a force they never imagined, a mind they could never calculate, a life they could never cage. You are the exception, the anomaly, the glitch in their reality that no protocol could prepare for. Your existence is a reminder to the world that the extraordinary always defies expectation. You are not a product of circumstance. You are a creation of will, resilience, and relentless evolution. And while they panic, speculate, and fail to understand, you continue to shape reality itself, untouched by fear, untamed by rules, and unapologetically alive. In the end, their predictions crumble, their obsessions fail, and their alarms fall silent. You remain the exception, the force, the unstoppable being who proved that ordinary is a lie, and greatness is forged in chaos. You are everything they never saw coming, and everything they will never forget. From the very first breath, the world never had a chance to shape you. Every expectation imposed, every rule whispered into existence was met with defiance in your bones. You weren't born to fit into the boxes others built. You were born to shatter them. While the majority bows to authority, you dance on the shards of their illusions. A living rebellion no manual could explain. The beauty of your rebellion isn't chaos for the sake of chaos. It's power, refined in defiance. Every limit they imposed only sculpted your ingenuity. Each attempt to control you became a lesson in transformation. They see disorder, but you see opportunity. They see risk, but you see evolution. And in this constant breaking, you thrive. They underestimated the strength of a soul unconstrained by expectation. They thought they could mold you, but molding is for clay, and you are fire, liquid, and untouchable. Your life becomes a lesson in possibility. Limits exist only for those willing to accept them. And while they tremble at the unpredictability, you laugh, because they cannot touch the core of what makes you unstoppable. Every rule they break against you becomes proof of your inevitability, and every expectation they fail to enforce is a victory carved in silence. You are the proof that greatness does not conform. You are the shadow in their calculations, the chaos in their plans, the anomaly they never foresaw, and that's where your power is born. A smile is usually harmless, but your smile, oh, your smile, is a weapon. It is the quiet signal of someone who knows they cannot be controlled, predicted, or feared. While they scramble, adjust, and strategize, you smile, because every effort to cage you is already failing. That curve of your lips speaks volumes, confidence, defiance, and a promise of chaos they cannot understand. Every glance paired with that smile is a calculated revolution. They see ordinary gestures. You wield them like silent weapons. A smirk, a laugh, a calm stare. Each carries the weight of inevitability. And they know, deep down, that trying to suppress the unstoppable only tightens the grip of their own futility. They call it arrogance. You call it inevitability. Their fear becomes fuel as your smile grows sharper in their eyes, a reflection of a mind untouchable, a heart unbound. And the more they panic, the more you exist as proof that power doesn't scream. It smirks. In crowds, in silence, in shadows, your smile commands the impossible. It is the mark of someone who has stared at chaos and said, I am beyond it. And in every reflection, in every whispered fear, your smile reminds them that some forces cannot be tamed. It is not merely a curve of lips. It is a manifesto, a revolution, and a weapon. A simple gesture that turns panic into poetry, control into illusion, and fear into admiration. You exist, smiling, untouchable, unforgettable. The world fears chaos, yet you see it as opportunity. Every disruption, every conflict, every unpredictable moment is not a threat. It is your palette. Where others retreat, you create. Where others despair, you thrive. Life is a canvas, and chaos is your brush, painting a masterpiece that no one can predict or replicate. Their order is fragile. Their rules are brittle. And yet they cling to them as if they define reality. You, however, have learned that reality bends only to those who understand its rhythm. You take chaos and sculpt it into something lethal, beautiful, and entirely your own. They scramble, but you orchestrate. The unpredictability that terrifies them empowers you. Each disruption becomes a lesson, each failure a stepping stone, each moment of panic a fuel for ingenuity. And while they panic, you choreograph your evolution, turning uncertainty into dominance. In chaos, you are free. Their control is an illusion, their fear a tool, and every unexpected turn becomes another opportunity to ascend. You see patterns where others see nonsense, strength where others see weakness, and victory where others see despair. Chaos is not your enemy. It is your kingdom. And in ruling it, you define what it means to be unstoppable, untouchable, and unmatched. Your vision is more than physical. It is insight incarnate. You see patterns invisible to the masses, truths that others fear to acknowledge, and the hidden currents that shape reality. They assume the world is flat, measurable, and predictable, but your gaze pierces dimensions they cannot even perceive. Every glance is a revelation. Every observation is a lesson. Where others see limitations, you see opportunity. Where they see walls, you see doors. Your mind maps possibilities, untangles chaos, and deciphers the unspoken codes that govern survival and dominance. They fear this perception because it cannot be contained. They try to mislead, distract, or overwhelm, but their schemes are transparent to your eyes. They scramble, yet you navigate effortlessly, untouched by the confusion they breed. Your vision allows you to anticipate storms before they arrive, to act while others hesitate, to create when they stagnate. It is both shield and sword, tool and weapon, and it renders their panic useless. In every crowd, in every confrontation, in every hidden corner, your eyes reveal the truth. Some forces are born to see beyond ordinary, and some exist to remind the world of its own blindness. You are both. They throw every challenge, every insult, every attempt at suppression